and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
And this is Get Real America. We give you the whole iceberg, not just the tip. And we have lots to talk about here on Thanksgiving Eve and lots to be thankful for.
Absolutely. And one of those things is that we are seeing this Quentin Simons case come to an end, although it is very, very tragic.
It is. The sad story is that they found remains, and by the way, kudos to all the FBI forensic people and everybody else who was involved, the Chatham County Police and other law enforcement agencies, Chatham County Sheriff's Department, who were all involved in this horrific incident where you sit there and scratch your head and wonder how a mother could do this to their child. And they found remains in a landfill. So this was a child that was actually thrown away, literally and figuratively. And the experts all say that they were looking for a needle in a haystack in the first place. So the fact that they did find human remains just, in fact, Friday afternoon we found out, and they have been sent to Quantico. They are checking now to see if they are Quentin's, but it's hard to believe that it's anybody else's. And to the family, to the friends, the people who have stood by, and the vigils that have gone on, to the babysitter that has been prominently interviewed in this whole process, the grandmother, everybody who was involved in this, and the people who were trying to get justice for Quentin. Maybe finally we will. Brittany.
Yeah, Bill, it's really hard to believe, especially when you see the videos of this little boy, and he's just such a sweet, it seems like he's very loving, and from all the interviews, it sounds like he was, just kind of a great, vivacious kid, and to see it come to the end so tragically, especially when
all the neighbors loved him. I mean, we've heard, just glowing reports from the babysitter who was devastated by this, saying that she told WTOC, the CBS affiliate here, that she couldn't believe when she left him for the last time, that would be the last time she would have seen him. Got a call the next morning that said it wasn't necessary for her to come babysit that day, and she knew right away that there was something amiss.
Yeah, and I think that some of these situations, when they remove the kids from the parents and the parents are still living with the new guardian, like the grandmother, it makes you wonder why they were ever left alone with her anyways, because she wasn't fit to take care of them in the first place. And such a tragic end to a story. And also how could a mother do this to her very own child? I can't even fathom it.
It is one of those mysteries of life. It reminds me of some time about almost 30 years ago of the Susan Smith case, the woman in South Carolina who drove her children into a lake and then made up some cockamamie story about being carjacked by a black guy, and that caused all sorts of consternation because a nationwide manhunt went on, and several black people were stopped and asked and they questioned because they fit the description. It wasn't profiling. It was they fit the description of what this woman had said. But within 3 or 4 days, her story just sort of fell apart, and found out that she drove her 2 children into the lake to drown them. I don't understand. We hear these stories, Brittany, of one of the moms drowning kids in the bathtub, or they think that somebody is after them. They think that something nefarious is going on, and they don't want their children to live through this, whatever it is, and wind up killing them. Wasn't there one in Texas where the woman killed like 5 or 6 of her kids?
I don't recall that one. I do remember the very tragic case of the 2 little boys that their mother was missing. Susan Powell. I don't know if you remember this case. It was out of Utah. They went camping in the middle of the winter, and the dad continued to have visitation, and the social worker took the boys to the house, and he grabbed the boys and unfortunately ended both of their lives, and then blew up the place. So I don't know what motivates people in this way. I don't understand it, especially when there are people that want to take care of the kids.
Yeah.
And love them, and they could be in a safe home environment, but yet, it comes to these tragic ends, and it doesn't have to.
No, and we see these stories going on, and I hate to dwell on this on Thanksgiving Eve, because we've had another tragedy happen overnight, where there was a shooting at a Walmart in Virginia, and at least 5 people dead and others injured.
Yeah, and I think especially this time of year, Bill, I think making sure that you're reaching out to people and be kind to people. I think that, a lot of mental health, people are suffering with mental health, especially after the pandemic and, that isolation feeling. And, I think that we've also gotten very self-centered, I guess is a good way to put it. I think that we have made things more about ourselves and less about others. But when you serve others, it really does help you with your own mental health, to be able to help other people with their stuff. And, this is the time for giving and for, just being kind to people and check in with people, see how they're doing. And this is a very stressful time of year, especially if they've lost loved ones, they don't have a ton of family, those types of things. I think that it's very important that we check on each other, especially in our local community, because there are a lot of people that live in Savannah that don't have family here and aren't going home for Christmas or for Thanksgiving. So just check in with people and be kind.
And along those lines, we've got great people here in Savannah, like my good friend Carl Gilliard, who has been a real pillar in the community, especially in the urban community, over the last 20 years or more. He's now a state representative and has done a great job for us on a state level as well. But he started something several years ago called Feed the Hungry. And he does something along with Thanksgiving and Christmas, and have these buffets for people who are less fortunate. And that's going to be going on today. Carl, you are a jewel, just absolutely one of the pillars of this community, and we sure appreciate everything that you're doing for us and to make sure these people get a good meal. My wife and I are going to Hunter Army Airfield at the Coast Guard Air Station in the morning to do a buffet Thanksgiving lunch and dinner for the Coast Guardsmen here at the Coast Guard Air Station, the ones who are stationed, a lot of soldiers on the base as well. That don't have a chance to go home for Thanksgiving. Somebody's got to stick around and keep guard on the place. And it's almost on a daily basis that you see the Coast Guard go out and rescuing people offshore from our air station here. It is just it is an amazing organization that does so much work with so little money and gets so little recognition for what they do. The Coast Guard it does all sorts of interdiction, law enforcement wise, as far as drug smuggling and other activities that they're involved with, and they help up and hook up with the Navy to interdict and drug smuggling and things of that nature on the high seas, pirating, that sort of thing. So it is going to be a pleasure to go out there and tomorrow and enjoy and thank those folks for what they do for us on a daily basis. And when they go out and do something heroic, rescuing people from a sinking trawler or a sinking ship of some sort, they just sort of shrug it off and say, well, it's just doing my job. But I love their slogan that when things are at their worst, we're at our best. I can only remember, I can't believe, Brittany, it's been they just had the 10th anniversary of the sinking of the HMS Titanic. HMS.
I was like, what? 10
years.
Where was I?
It's been longer than that. The HMS Bounty, the ship that was actually built for making the remake of the movie Mutiny on the Bounty.
Okay.
And it's been sailing along. It visited here. We have a tall ships visit every year, and this was one of the tall ships. My wife and I and some friends from church went on board, met the captain and some of the crew, and one of the crew members was the daughter of at the time a member of the Savannah City Council, and they rescued, and they got caught in this hurricane 10 years ago, and the ship went down, and the Coast Guard Air Station, not from here but from North Carolina, went out and rescued those people. Got 10 of the 12. The captain and one of the other mates went down with the ship, as it were, but the other 10 were rescued. And it was I did a radio interview that morning with the people who were involved in the rescue, and it was just amazing. And they said, well, yeah, we went out and got them. And then I saw the A&E, or maybe it was the Weather Channel special on the rescue. And I said, no, they didn't just get out and get them. They're flying helicopters out 20, 30 miles offshore in a hurricane and picking up these people. Unbelievable. So it'll be a pleasure to go out and be with those folks from the Coast Guard tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think also just, morale hasn't been great in the military
No, it
section.
hasn't.
So I think it's good for people to go out and thank them for their service and also serve them. I think that that's a good morale boost, and also I think it's a good reminder of what they do for us, even when it's very difficult. And I'm sure that it's not been fun for them the past few years to
Yeah, learning their
serve.
pronouns and that sort of thing.
Yes, they're not doing what they were trained to do originally. They're in diversity training. So.
We see how that can help when we had that shooting just recently in Colorado, because a Army Ranger helped save a lot of those people when he stopped the gunman. We'll be talking about that and more coming up next here on Get Real America on Thanksgiving Eve.
Education is so important. People have always talked about, what are we going to do? You're going to have school choice, you're going to have all different types of things. And I want to try to figure out, how can we get kids an education? It doesn't matter what zip code you're from, but get them the education they need, because education is an equalizer. And I truly, truly believe that. And that's the reason I'm here, just to see how this is working, what is going on, how you getting funding, and just what's happening. We put people in office that doesn't seem to care about this country anymore. And I said, if I can change it and I just sit back and do nothing, what kind of man will I be? But right now, I know I can change something.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Herschel is one of the most genuine people that I think you'll ever meet. The quality and the fabric of the man is top-notch, and his values have been formed in small town Wrightsville, Georgia, and those are some good values. The biggest thing to me about Herschel is the heart of a servant leader, because he wants to give back and to help the people of Georgia and to benefit Georgians. Herschel's just a good man, one of the best. He's cut from a rare cloth.
I'm Herschel Walker, and I approve this message.
At Get Real America, we want to promote your business to our conservative audience.
Good morning and welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you have lots to do and lots to eat.
Yes, there is a lot to eat here in Savannah. So if you aren't cooking your own, there are plenty of places to make reservations, but you better do it today.
I would say if you try to do it today, good luck.
Hey, I was able to get in last year. I'm just saying. I was a last minute person and I was able to get into a restaurant.
My wife and I several times have gone up to Myrtle Beach for a Thanksgiving holiday, and several of the restaurants up there put on fabulous Thanksgiving buffets. And one that I had checked in a few years ago in Chesapeake Hill, I called, and it was about 6 weeks out, and I was just lucky to get a 3 o'clock sitting.
Wow.
So of course I like the later sittings.
Yes,
get up and have a nice breakfast, and then you've got time to spend with your family, and then go off and then have somebody else cook and have somebody else clean up the dishes. So.
Yes, that's always nice. The cleanup's always kind of rough on Thanksgiving.
There are several places here that do great Thanksgiving buffets as well. But most of the places will be closed, and I think I'm glad to see more businesses close on Thanksgiving Day. The big retail stores, you got Black Friday coming up day after tomorrow, and that's when people go out. And every year I swear I'm not going to get out in that crowd, and somehow I find myself in it for whatever reason.
Make sure you take your phone with you so we can get that on video.
Yeah.
I'd love to see you out and about in those crowds.
Can't wait. But I don't know how it happens, but I say, I'm not going to get involved this year, and something happens and I got to go get involved.
Yep. Bill's
But-
always involved.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. But we got great Thanksgiving things coming up, and it is always a great time of the year as we get ready. We also have a situation here in Georgia where there was not supposed to be early voting on Saturday.
Right. And then a judge came in and said, nope, there is early voting. And now we have them basically filing an appeal and saying, there shouldn't be early voting on Saturday. So
Well,
that
the
is still up
state
in
law,
limbo. Yeah.
You don't do because Friday is considered a holiday in Georgia, and they said we don't do Saturday voting after a state holiday. So therefore, there was supposed to be no Saturday voting. However, the Democratans, as well as Raphael Warnock and his Confederates, got their shorts in a wad over the fact so they stuff the ballot box and cheat on the election again. So they said that they want to have early voting. They want it on Saturday as well. And some judge came in and said, oh well, we won't worry about a state law. We'll just go ahead and say you can do it.
Yeah, and I think, Bill, I was talking to someone yesterday, and it's like, man, I wish we were all so hopeful that we would be able to have just this lovely break from politics for 2 solid months.
No.
Yeah, that's not the case. We are still all in the political sphere and really wanting to get Herschel Walker over the line. But early voting's still up in the air. So we're coming down to the wire, especially with a holiday in between, right?
Yeah. So the Republicans have appealed that. We'll see what happens. We'll keep you posted, so to speak.
Yeah, and on that note, we actually have a little bit more from Herschel Walker from his rally here, and we thought we'd share a little bit more of that with you guys.
So impressed at how well he has developed during this campaign, and he spoke to us Friday afternoon without referring to notes whatsoever, talking about what his vision was for becoming a senator, and this is Herschel in his most glorious form.
And when I saw what was happening in Washington, I said, we saw these weak people in Washington that forgot about America. What they wanted to do is they wanted to separate us to get votes. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, that ain't the way I live. I'm not going to tell you a lie. I'm going to tell you the truth. We all fall short of the glory of God. We all have sinned before our Heavenly Father. But this is what is happening. They're lying to you right now because they're trying to tell you this is the new normal. And I'm here to tell you it's not, because I remember hearing this story about this man died early in life. Now listen to me. This man died early in life, and as he got to heaven, St. Peter met him at the pearly gates. And St. Peter said, sir, you're here a little bit early right now. Said, your name ain't on the roll. So you're the only one in history that's going to get an opportunity to decide where you want to go. Say, I'm going to take you to heaven, and I'm going to take you to hell, and you get to determine where you want to be. So he puts him in his elevator, he sends him all the way down to hell, and the doors open up. And there's a party going on. He sees some of his friends down there, he's having a good time. After a couple of hours, St. Peter came to him and said, sir, you ready to go? You ready to go? He said, I got to leave now. He said, yes, you got a decision to make. So he puts him in his elevator, takes him all the way up to heaven. They get to heaven, there are people floating around on clouds, just talking, having a good time. And after a couple of hours, St. Peter came to him and said, have you made your mind up? Have you made your mind up? And the guy said, well, St. Pete, I hate to tell you this, I think I want to go to hell. That seems like my type of place. So he puts him in his elevator, sends him all the way back down to hell. Now, and the doors open up, and it's hot. People are miserable, they're crying, and they're screaming. And the guy said, wait a minute, a couple of hours ago when I was here, there was a party going on. And Satan shows up and said, a couple of hours ago, I was campaigning. And I tell you that right now, I tell you that right now because I see so many people like Senator Warnock, so many people on the left that's campaigning right now, they're lying to you. They're telling you that we're not good people. And I'm here to tell you we're very good people, that we can work this out, we can work it out together. And what they're trying to do now, they're trying to fool you and tell you that give up our energy. You see what they're doing to us. Don't let them fool you. Because we got all the fertile stuff right underneath our feet, and we can do it for ourselves. They don't need to go to our enemies to ask for anything. They don't know the definition of an enemy, do they? They still don't know the definition of a woman, but I'm going to tell you the definition of a woman. Because in the Bible I read, my definition says a woman is a man and a woman, and the woman comes from the real of a man. But they trying to tell you also a man can get pregnant. I'm here to tell you, no, he can't. Don't believe that. Don't believe that. Let them take you down in that elevator and fool you like they're lying to you, because they don't want to tell you the truth. The truth is they're talking to enemies that don't like us, to get things from us. They don't need to do that. We need strong leaders in Washington. And you can see strong leaders in Washington would not have called all men and women in blue thugs and bullies. That's what Senator Warnock did. He called them thugs and bullies. Now the recruitment is down. Now the morale is down. You see the crime in the street. They don't want to talk about that, do they? All the crime in the street. Right now, they no cash bail. What do you get no cash bail at? Releasing prisoners from prison. Now they're making us prisoners in our own home, because the only people running free will be the prisoners. But I said, not on my watch. Not on my watch. I can promise you that. They're going to be held responsible. Because the Bible I read, I remember when Adam and Eve, when God said, from this place here you have total freedom. But if you touch and eat from this tree here, you will surely die. They were held to responsibility. Where we got weak leaders in Washington that don't want to hold people responsible for the crime they're committing. And I said they will be held responsible for the crime they commit on my watch. And you know what? We will protect our men and women in blue. We will hold them up high, and we will continue to respect them, because the other day, I was leaving my campaign office. It was starting to get dark outside. And I saw this little white car was being stopped by this officer. And all of a sudden I started to get nervous. I got nervous. I'm thinking, oh, what is he gonna do to this guy? Because you know they got so many iPhones now. You're always seeing something on the iPhone when a police officer doing something wrong. But you don't see the whole picture. So all of a sudden I'm thinking about, oh, this officer's gonna do something wrong. We need to reform the officer. And I said, no, they're taking me down in that elevator. We don't need to reform the officer. Why don't we reform the citizen too? Let's teach them to respect also. Because the officers wanna go home. They wanna go home like everyone else. They got a family. They wanna do the same thing you wanna do. But we got leaders in Washington that show them that disrespect. And as my father told me when I was a little boy, he said, you're gonna learn from me, and if you don't like the rules underneath my roof, you leave my house. You need to start telling people, if you don't like the rules of the United States of America, you can leave. You don't have to live here. And that's what we need. We need those leaders in Washington that's gonna say talk like this. And I told y'all, I'm not a politician. Y'all know that. I don't look like one, don't act like one, don't sound like one, because I'm not one. I'm that warrior from God that got me ready for this moment right here. He got me ready because he knew I had to go up against the wolf in sheep clothing. Y'all saw him. Did y'all really think he can beat me in a debate? Let's be real. I told him, this country boy, I make show up. I would show up, and I don't know, but I'm going to try my best. And he tried his best, too, until he got to the point he knew he was in the wrong room when he met up with me. You saw that. Because I became the adult in the room because I took him to school. Did I not take him to school? He got to the point, he started talking like Scooby-Doo. Y'all heard that. And all of a sudden, they asked him a question. They said, sir, when you vote for Joe Biden in 2024, and he go, oh. And I'm like, yeah, now, he don't want to talk right now. Y'all see what he been doing to us since he got to Washington? He forgot about Georgia. He forgot about the people of Georgia. He went there and told me he was going to protect us. Did he not? He went there and he raised our taxes. Did he not? And spent our money. But he's not spending his own money. He's making more money while he's in office. Can y'all believe that? This man getting wealthy off us. All he ever done got wealthy off his parishioners and the government. He never did a job for himself. He never got his hand dirty. When I shook his hand, I can tell he never dirty no dirt. He never done anything for himself. Always living off somebody else. And people get mad when I say that. That is the truth. Have you ever said, hey, my hand get dirty a lot because I love to work? And that's what we need right now. People in Washington that's gonna work and work for you, because that seat belongs to you guys. Y'all know that? That seat belongs to you guys. So that's what you gotta do. You got to vote come December the 6th. You got to get out and vote. Tell 10 of your friends to get out and vote. Tell 10 of their friends to get out and vote. If you don't have no friends, make some friends and tell them to get out and vote. Right now, this election is important. It is important. Not only have they called our men and women in blue names, think about what they're doing to our military. We have the greatest military in the world. That's the reason we have the greatest country in the world. We got the greatest military in the world. And you know what? All these people stand in front of you with all these great lines because all they want to do is be a politician. They always talk about their peace through strength. They're peace through strength. They're 100% correct. But our strength comes from our military. And if we don't continue to support our military, we'll have no strength. I can promise you we'll have no peace. After what happened in Afghanistan, they saw weakness in us. They saw weakness in us, and I said, not when I get to Washington. They will always see me stand up for our military. And then they bring, no, they're bringing pronouns into our military. I'm like, what the heck is a pronoun? I don't know what a pronoun is. We got to get rid of this pronoun stuff. And I can tell you what, Senator Warnock pronoun gonna be former senator. That's it, pronoun. Get out of our people's house talking about pronouns. We shouldn't be talking about pronouns. We should be talking about push-ups and sit-ups. That's what I've been doing all my life. Push-ups and sit-ups, getting them ready because they want to get ready for war. That's what they're talking about. And then they're talking about this green agenda. But yeah, this green agenda. I'm one of the first one that would raise my hand when we're ready for it, but we're not ready right now. Everyone knows we're not ready right now, but yet they're going to talk about this green agenda. They want to take you down in that elevator. Right now, I told them, yeah, I want to car on gas. You know, I don't want an electric car because you know what? I don't want to be out there on what 16 and they ain't got nowhere to charge my car. What I'm gonna do then? Have y'all seen charging stations all on 16? No, you haven't. They're not ready for that right now. But yet they want to tell you they're ready for it. No, we're not ready for it because y'all know. I'm gonna tell you this here that you may not know. Do you know agriculture is real huge here in Georgia? It's like a $70 billion business. Think about it, $70 billion business. And I happened to ask someone a question one day, because you know, sometimes I'm that country boy that I ask questions that people don't understand. I said, what would a combine cost today? And somebody told me usually about $500,000. I said, $500,000? That's a lot of money. I said, what would an electric combine cost? And they told me it'd be about $1.8 million. I said, whoa, that's a whole lot of money. But what they told me that was really kind of strange. They said, you can only use it for 2 hours, then you gotta charge it. It won't work. That's what people don't know. That won't work right now. We're not ready for that right now. So we gotta take our time. What they're doing to us, they're trying to make us poor. And what they're gonna do, they're gonna make us poor and they're gonna make us broke. That's what they're doing to us. So y'all, let's don't let them take us down in the elevator. We got to get these people out of Washington that don't love America. Can you believe that? They don't love America. They're trying to put us second and third. And somebody said, make America great again is a bad term. And they live here in America. I'm like, wait. Don't you, if you live here, shouldn't you want America to be great? I'm telling you, I don't like to finish second. I'm Ricky Bobby. I want to finish first. I don't want to finish second. We're not bad people. We're good people. But the way we can get it by coming together, get wokeness out of our military, we get behind our men and women in blue, and wait, let me tell you this right here. See, there's so many things this man has done since he's been in office in less than 2 years. Look at all the stuff he's done. Y'all think he know what he's doing? And he was saying, when you go to office, you got to know what you're doing. He don't know what he's doing, put men and women's sports. Can you believe that? Let me tell you, a biological man shouldn't be in women's sports. That's like asking Herschel Walker to compete against your daughter. I can promise you, you don't want that to happen. And then, he ain't got that through his head yet. Get men out of women's sports. They know it shouldn't be in there. He voted to put men in women's sports. This man ain't learned anything from his Bible yet, has he? He's just talking all that stuff. He said he was a Matthew 25. Y'all heard that? Matthew 25 said, when I was hungry, you fed me. And when I needed clothes, you clothed me. But it didn't say when I couldn't pay my rent, you evicted me, did it? It didn't say nothing like that, because that's what he did. Can y'all know what he been doing over at this Towers? I couldn't believe it in the debate. And then he tried to blame me, and I didn't know anything about it. Y'all saw in that debate. I said, sir, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't write the article about your doing that you've been doing. Now, these are poor people. These people have a mental health problem, and he's evicting them. From about $28, yet he's got $7,400 a month to pay his rent. He's living in luxury while he's evicting people out of their home. What kind of preacher is that? A man out of cloth doing stuff like that. And you know what? Let's not talk about that. Don't put the cloth on his name because he don't deserve to have that. He don't deserve to have that. And I'm not going to give him that right there until he can show me that he can hold himself accountable. They don't want to hold themselves accountable to anything, do they? You heard Joe Biden the other day they said, what would you change if you had to change something? He said, I wouldn't change anything. I'm like, oh, this man's serious? What is he doing? But yet, Senator Warnock voted with him 96% of the time, which means you either love Joe Biden or you don't know what you're doing. So which one do you want to decide? You either love him or don't know what you're doing. So no matter what, he shouldn't be in office representing you because he's not doing a good job. He's failed us as a senator. He knows that. and now he's got to go. So we're going to tell him, don't let the door hit you in the backside and you leave our office. You got to get out of here, Senator. No. There's more to it than just that. There's more to it than just that. In less than 2 years, this is what this guy is doing to us. Think about the border. Y'all think about the border. We're not a border state, are we? I'm going to tell you something. You're from Texas. You came all the way to see me? Well, I thank you, and she voted for me, so y'all see she's a smart one. Y'all got to get on her train and vote for me, too. You live in Texas. You live here, though. Yo, now you got, she got door hangers. All of y'all need to be doing door hangers and stuff, not just her. Y'all need to be doing door hangers. Because let me tell you about this border for a minute. We're not a border state, but I'm going to tell y'all something you don't know. Do y'all know 70% of the drugs coming from the border goes through Atlanta, Georgia? And fentanyl is coming into this country. And you guys, they want to pretend like this border is secured. Can y'all believe the vice president said this border is secured? I want to ask, do Senator Warnock think this border is secured? These people don't know the definition of security. They don't know the definition of recession. They don't know the definition of a woman. They don't know the definition of a man can't get pregnant. They just want to change our whole dictionary, don't they? And they don't get, but they didn't told me this is what you got to really get angry at when they start trying to call parents that want to get involved in what's going on in your school with your kid, domestic terrorists. Can y'all believe that? They don't know the definition of a terrorist. Terrorists don't like you either. So they're going to tell us we're terrorists because we want to find out what our kids are being taught. These people are trying to control your life. They're trying to take you down in that elevator and fool you like this is a new normal. You need leaders in Washington that's going to be like Herschel Walker. They're going to say, y'all got to go. As my father said, leave this country if you don't like it, or get involved and make it better. And the way you make it better by bringing us together as people. Because I'm going to tell you right now, 23andMe has screwed us all up. We don't know what color we are. But what we do know is we're American. That's the most important thing. What we do know, we're American. That's the most important thing. Because what we got to do, and people want to ask me this, Herschel, what would you do this? Well, I secure the border. You know how you can secure the border? I'm going to tell you what you got to do. All you got to do is get all these judges we elected and stuff. Why don't we put them down at the border? And as people come across, you can now have a trial right there. And if they don't pass, send them right back. Because they can go right back where they came from. You can get it, like you can stop a lot of that right then. That was one of the things. Then they said, what you want to do with this economy?
Wow. What a dynamic individual.
Yes.
On so many levels. And he had the crowd in the palm of his hand. No doubt about it. Herschel Walker, he is the obvious choice. If you vote for Senator Warnock, then a pox on both your houses.
Yes, we were just talking about the story that just came out about Warnock steering over $60 million to a project that he is also involved with these people with the housing project that's under speculation.
That's associated with his church that was supposed to be all fixed up for people who were having either homeless or low income, and this was started back in 2005 where he got this established, and now some people haven't been able to pay their rent to the tune of maybe they're missing maybe they're $20 short or something, and he's evicting them.
Yes, with this, and so the people he's involved with that project are also involved in this new project that is now getting $16 million of our tax money. So kind of an interesting little connection there. There's more to come on that story, but it's always.
Herschel touched on that in his speech, talking about how he's making money off of you, and supposedly a man of the cloth.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't really talk about things in a very spiritual way. When I've listened to Warnock speak, I have been disappointed since he is a preacher. I don't see it, Bill.
Well, I knew he didn't know a whole lot about the Old Testament when he was talking about the fact that there shouldn't be chaplaincy in the military, because how can you be a minister and a member of the military? Because if you read much of the Old Testament, God and the military were sort of hooked at the hip. And it continued also through the New Testament as well. Not so much that was at least that was logged, but there were wars and stuff going on all the time. And God said, you take your army, you go in there, and you kill those people. Get rid of them. I don't like them anymore. They're not worshiping me, and they're not doing anything to improve the situation. So get in there and take over.
Yeah, I if you're voting for Warnock, let us know why, because I would love to know your reasoning behind that. I think that there's also been a lot of stuff. I saw something pushed out yesterday why you should vote for Warnock, and one of the things listed was that the student loan forgiveness. And I'm like, that was just denied by a judge. Like, I'm not really sure why you guys are continuing to say that that's a thing. Yes.
Yeah.
And they're saying that that's why you should vote for him, is because he's, he helped pass that. And I was like, did I miss something?
Yeah. or that he voted for the the Reduction in Inflation Act, or whatever that piece of crap is called. No, those are two of the reasons you shouldn't vote for this cretin. And he is a wolf in sheep's clothing. There is no doubt about it. He tried to run over his wife. They don't ever bring that up. They talk about Herschel till they're blue in the face. And God knows when the Republicans are going to get a backbone and show the video of Herschel actually sitting by his wife, and how that was truncated to make it look like he was sitting there. This woman is sitting there by herself. She is talking about the once upon a time. And there's also some organization called Georgia Honor. I call it Georgia Horror. It's saying that Herschel is not fit to be a senator. And they're going back to all of this stuff that happened during his mental health episodes. And all of that is behind him now. And we keep talking all the time about how we need to help with people with mental health problems. Herschel got his help. He has gotten rid of those demons. And he is going to be a great senator. You do not want Raphael Warnock up there for another 6 years, voting along with Joe Biden every time he turns around. A rubber stamp for up Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden. There is no reason for Raphael Warnock to be in Washington. There's no reason for him to be in the pulpit. He runs a church that honored Fidel Castro, brought in all these communists and others to his church. Telling people what a wonderful person that Fidel Castro was after his death some years back. That's enough right now to get him kicked out for treason, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Bill. Like I said, I'd love to know why people would vote for him. I haven't seen a lot of great things come from Warnock, but
see his signs all over town, though.
Yes, and sign waivers, and they, from what I hear, they pay pretty well, Bill. So on Republicans, it's all volunteer work. So we have to get people to volunteer to do those activities. We don't really have the funding for that. But, if they do have early Saturday voting, it's only going to be at the Board of Elections on Eisenhower. But Sunday voting, they're actually going to open up the Civic Center. So it'll be the BOE and the Civic Center. So, and then, of course, the weekday voting is going to open up a lot more, and we're going to have the main office, which is the Board of Elections on Eisenhower, open, the mosquito control, the Civic Center, Islands Library, and the Southwest Library will be the early voting locations starting on Monday. So
this is, and there's something that our producer pointed out, is that this is Thanksgiving weekend, okay? People are traveling out of town. It takes people to come in to run the polls. Now, these people have to be there very early in the morning till sometimes very late at night to get everything all set up and ready to go. And that is a mass inconsideration. You've been making plans for months to go out of town, perhaps for Thanksgiving, or you've got a lot of family in town for Thanksgiving. And all of a sudden, Senator Warnock and his crowd comes along and says, "We have to vote on Saturday too." This is insane. Well, and very inconsiderate.
Well, and I think that also goes back to breaking traditions, right? Taking people away from their families, not respecting the fact that Thanksgiving should be a holiday where people can stay home. They don't have to worry about getting to work or going to work. Especially, when you live in a colder climate too, Bill. And we're very lucky here that we don't have to deal with snow. But, usually on Thanksgiving, it's snowing in a lot of the cold areas, and having to worry about getting somewhere and, also trying to get home to maybe make a late Thanksgiving dinner or things like that. I think that we really should just go back to some more traditional things. And one of those is just, let's not open things on Thanksgiving. People can plan ahead. They can get stuff at the grocery store ahead of time. And people should be allowed to stay home on Thanksgiving. And, especially working for the government and the city, you would think that they would be allowed to have, some vacation, some time off, especially when, this election has been It has been very hot for a midterm. We haven't had a big break from a lot of the commercials. I will say I was hoping we wouldn't have to see any more of those terrible political commercials, but we are going to see those until December 6th. So it would be nice if we could just have, a 3-day break from politics.
Well, at least it's better than it used to be, Ms. Brittany, because fortunately they changed the state law in the past legislative session, because we had a 9-week gap, and I thought that just seemed like it was forever. May as well have been 9 months, as long as that lasted. So we've truncated that down to at least 4 weeks. So thank God for that. That 9-week session was really something. And because
that went through Christmas too.
Yeah.
So it kind of busted all the holidays up.
I was hoping that this wouldn't be, once again, all the eyes are on Georgia once again and the Senate race. I was hoping that the American people were actually paying attention, but thanks to the public schools and the media and the Democrats, but I repeat myself, for not telling people the real truth about what's going on, and that people were following this. When you see man on the street interviews with people, and it happened to one member of my family, I couldn't believe how little this person knew about politics, and even though she's in her early 20s, and she was asking about how many senators we had and things of that nature, and why we were doing this or that, and I'm scratching my head and said, this ought to be common knowledge. From the time that you're 16 or more, and even before, if we actually taught civics and social studies in our schools anymore. But the fact that people didn't know about so many the candidates who were running, who was doing what to whom, and not whether they bothered to vote at all, disturbing. And I thought that just because, since we don't teach civics anymore, we have a population that doesn't think that it's all that important to go out and vote. And if they do, then they think they come up with some system like they have in Alaska.
Oh my gosh, that's a horrible, horrible system. And
a popularity contest.
Yeah, well, it also benefits incumbents, so it's really hard to get them out.
Well, yeah, it's the Incumbency Re-election Act.
Yes, I like that, Bill. That's exactly what it is. But I will say, even people in their 30s, like I have a lot of friends that if they have questions about politics, they call me, and I'm like, why don't you guys know this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not an expert by any means, Bill, but I do understand a lot of the processes and just why would we do that? Things like that. And I'm always surprised at who calls, because I have a lot of smart friends, and I'm like, but they don't follow politics because they just, it's not fun, Bill. Politics is not fun.
But politics is going to follow you.
Yes.
And these are people who run your lives. And you wonder why some of these say, well, why did that happen? Well, you didn't go out and vote. That's why it happened. You didn't vote for the right person because you didn't educate yourself about who was doing what to whom.
Well, and guess what? If you don't vote, you don't get to complain, Bill. That vote gives you kind of a little bit of a pass where you can say, I did my civic duty, and now all of this stuff is happening, and it didn't go the way that it should have. But when you don't vote, I'm sorry, you kind of take away your ability to have a say in things because you didn't vote. So. Yep.
So there's more where that came from.
Yes,
coming up next,
we're going to be talking about all things Twitter.
Yeah. Elon Musk under the gun from Senator Markey up in Massachusetts. That's next.
I'm Herschel Walker, and I approve this message.
I admired Herschel from the beginning. Herschel has always been challenged about doing things that people thought he wasn't capable of doing. He wants to be the best, and he has striven to do that, disciplined himself to do that, falls sometimes along the way, but he gets back up, and with his incredible drive and self-discipline, he has achieved mighty things. He's a real patriot of this country. He loves the United States of America. He also is realistic that it can be better. He is not a, quote, politician. There is a need in this country. There is need in this state for somebody like Herschel. Knowing him, the character that he has, he will make a great United States Senator.
Get in touch with us at info@grenewsmedia.com, or you can give us a call at 912-376-9295.
Well, what's at stake for me is I want the Georgia people to have a voice in Washington. I think in less than 2 years, they haven't had a voice. Senator Warnock has done everything for Joe Biden and not for the Georgia people. I think people see that in his voting. You know, he's voted for this open border. He hadn't said anything about it. You see the way the economy is right now. You see men and women's sports. He's voted for things like that. Crime on the streets, and this is less than 2 years. That meaning that people of Georgia hadn't had a voice. Right now, I speak for the Georgia people, and I will always speak for the Georgia people. That's the reason I decided to run. I tell everyone I'm not a politician, never look like one, never act like one. But right now, what Senator Warnock has done to the Georgia people is not correct. The Georgia people are much better than the way he has represented us in Washington.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
Happy Thanksgiving. We have so much to be thankful for. Unfortunately, it's not Senator Muskie.
Well,
It's been a while for him, too. Senator
Yeah.
Markey, a Democrat from Massachusetts, who suggested yesterday that Twitter CEO Elon Musk is going to pay the price if he doesn't fix problems with the platform's new paid checkmark verification process. Oh, geez. All of a sudden, they're concerned about Twitter now that it's in charge of somebody who believes in free speech.
oh, the free speech. They do not like it. And I think we have a little clip from Markey right here.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Again, as the owner of these companies, he can fire anyone he wants. He can do whatever he wants inside of those companies. But when he's dealing with the federal government in terms of federal laws, he's not free to do that. You cannot ignore what the federal government is requiring of your company. And that goes for safety rules in your vehicles, and it also goes for guardrails that have to be built around social media sites that are allowing for Twitter for $8 to give someone an ability to impersonate who they are. And they could be impersonating the fact that they're the CDC or Eli Lilly or Lilly or a United States senator. Yes. That is not permissible, and they will pay a price if they don't put safeguards in place.
I love all these threats that they make to these people when they don't like what they're doing. We're going to nationalize your company or whatever it is. We hear that from Markey as well as Maxine Waters and others.
Yeah, and I will say, being on Twitter, it has like a 2015 vibe to it right now, Bill. It's kind of nice. Babylon Bee was reinstated. We have a lot of people coming back that have been exiled from Twitter. So there is one person that they are not willing to, at this moment in time. Alex Jones will not be allowed back on Twitter. That is the one caveat that Elon Musk has made, that is the one person he is not willing to let back on. I don't think that it's the best route for Elon, but at least he is allowing us to have some wins and allowing some of those conservative voices to come back, which I think is a good thing.
You believe in free speech or you don't.
Yes.
And free speech is supposed to be protected no matter what. If it's exactly the opposite of what you think it is, or somebody has an opinion 180 degrees away from yours, that's still free speech.
I 100% agree. And I think that we have CBS that is terrified of that. I don't know if you saw that, but.
Yeah, CBS News, boy, they're right on it, because they breaking news, they found out that laptop from hell from Hunter Biden is actually the real deal. And you know what did it? The phone call they heard from the big guy, Joe, calling his son and saying how much you need to get some help, kid, or something. They didn't listen to that 2.5 years ago. I don't know. They didn't have another breaking story. I don't know if you saw. CBS has now announced that the War of the Roses was not actually fought over flowers.
Yeah, they'd be late to that one too, Bill.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think we have a clip of CBS saying how scared they are of Twitter.
Yeah.
Has called for an emergency meeting for all remaining engineers. In light of the uncertainty around Twitter and out of an abundance of caution, CBS News is pausing its activity on the social media site as it continues to monitor the platform, Major.
Jonathan Vigliotti, thank you.
So out of abundance of caution.
Abundance of caution, yes.
They didn't even last 2 days, Bill.
No,
They're
no,
addicted to
they-
Twitter. They
they-
can't do it.
Well, a little shorter time than CNN Plus or whatever that mitigated disaster was. So CBS was back on Twitter within 48 hours. So I guess they resolved all the issues.
Yeah, they said that they're still watching it very closely.
Oh
Bill.
yes.
So
Oh, thank God.
I know. The thing is I think that people really need to get over the fact that, it's okay for us to disagree. Like it doesn't need to be harmful. It doesn't, like, not every time you're offended does some action need to be taken against someone. We're plenty offended, and we move on with our lives because it's not worth it. And I think people waste way too much of their energy on focusing and looking at what other people are saying so that they can be offended. Like, you're looking to be offended. So, but the Babylon Bee is back, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
They make me laugh.
It's the United States of the offended, and we've become such to the point where that great comedians like Jay Leno, and thank God he's recovering from his wounds after suffering some severe burns just recently. He's had multiple surgeries, but he has been released from the hospital, and I loved his attitude. Jay was when he was at the hospital. He was still joking around. He didn't lose his sense of humor, joking around with the doctors and the nurses and the staff, and was buying just tons of candy for the kids. It was just amazing how the morale that he boosted while he was hospitalized. Now he's out, but he, along with people like Jerry Seinfeld, say they're not doing college campuses anymore. They're not doing college concerts anymore, because everybody takes everything so seriously. If you make a joke about something, suddenly you have offended somebody. And it reminds me of a great comedian that was back in the 60s and 70s when I was in high school, and believe me, that's been a while. But his name was Jackie Vernon, and he was one of those insult type comedians. He was very, very deadpan, and the war on poverty had just started with Lyndon Johnson, that has worked so well because we've spent $30 or $40 trillion on poverty, and we still have it.
More of it.
If you spent 40 or 50 trillion dollars on something and you still had the problem, maybe you ought to change your strategy. But we started that, and that's the longest war we've ever been involved with. Not Afghanistan or Vietnam. It's been the war on poverty. But Jackie Vernon says, I declared war on poverty the other day. I went out and threw a hand grenade at a bum. Now, it got a big laugh at that time when I was a kid. I told that joke one night at Toastmasters, and you could have heard a pin drop. The place was so silent, like, you're making fun of somebody getting blown up by a grenade? Oh, please.
Well, and I heard a comedian the other day talking about how, guess what? There are men and women, and guess what? They are very different, and that's what I like about a woman. She's different from men.
As they say in France, vive la différence.
Yes. So, we do need to learn to have fun again, Bill.
Exactly.
Like, we do not have fun. Everyone's offended, and you're worried about what you're going to say to offend someone all the time. And I think we need to stop walking on eggshells and let's just have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, and it's always the left that gets offended, and they're the ones that seem to get their way about things.
So true.
We don't pray before a ball game, before a football game in high school here anymore, because somebody was offended. So, well, then don't listen to the prayer. You don't have to listen to this. You don't have to come to the ball game. So, go stick it where the sun don't shine. I'm offended that prayer was taken away. Did they put it back? No.
Bill, how does that make you feel?
I'm devastated.
Do we need to have a counseling appointment?
Yes, please. Book
Soothe
me
your
with
feelings.
a psychiatrist. I've been losing sleep ever since.
Yeah, that's the problem. But you know what, Bill? Someone is growing a backbone that I'm very shocked about. I hope he keeps it up. But I think we have a clip of him right here. Let's check it out. Who's growing a backbone?
If Secretary Mayorkas does not resign, House Republicans will investigate every order, every action, and every failure. Will determine whether we can begin impeachment inquiry.
That was Kevin McCarthy, surprisingly sounding like a firebrand.
Yeah, there you go. Now that he thinks he's going to get the job as a Speaker of the House, and he probably is. Most of the statistics show that he's got the votes, and I hope he sticks to his guns, and I hope that that backbone is a permanent replacement, because we need to do some investigations. Getting rid of Mayorkas would be the first step. I got an alphabetical list of the other people I want him to get rid of.
I was going to say, I think I could name off like probably 5 or 6 people right offhand, besides Mayorkas, including that Christopher Wray that we saw yesterday. Wow,
geez.
He needs to go.
Head of the Federal Bureau of Intimidation.
Yeah, and also, vacationing is very important to him.
Yes, it is.
So,
yeah.
Very exciting stuff. People working in the government.
I don't begrudge anybody taking a vacation, but there's a time and a place for everything. Just like our Secretary of Transportation, the well-established Pete Bootylicious, who during our biggest transportation, when we had ships, 100 ships sitting offshore trying to get in port because they didn't have enough dock workers. He's taking 4 months of maternity leave.
But that's the thing, no one noticed he was gone.
Well,
that's the sad thing.
Yeah,
like, no one noticed that he wasn't coming to work until months later.
Well, but I love it in Washington when they say, we've got this bad weather or whatever, so non-essential personnel does not need to report to work today. I said, well, how about non-essential personnel never going back to work at all? God knows that would save a lot of taxpayer money. If they're non-essential, then what the heck? Did you notice everything was still running?
Yep.
Even though these people weren't there.
Yep.
Things were just rocking right along smoothly. I used to had a boss like that one time.
Well,
couldn't understand why he would call during his vacation to find out how things were, and was amazed that things hadn't fallen apart while he was gone.
Yeah, well, that means you're a good leader, right?
Well, yeah.
means you're a good leader when
isn't that what they hired us for?
Yes, yes.
For our competence. So
yes. Well, we used to hire on merit, Bill. I don't know that that's really a thing at the moment.
You have to have the proper skin color. You have to have enough of those, and then you have to have enough of the proper genders, no matter what they identify as.
The pronoun crowd.
And then you have to have from different nationalities, and they have to speak in other different languages, and they have to all use the same bathroom, whatever it is. It's ridiculous. Once upon a time, we actually hired people for their competence. You got in college by a test score, and if you didn't get that test score, it didn't matter what color you were, it didn't matter what gender you were, it didn't matter who you thought you were this week, you didn't get in.
Well, and competition creates greatness.
Yes.
And so I think that's part of the problem, Bill, is that we do not compete the way that we should, and we're too worried about what category everyone belongs in and if we have enough of them. So, even with having women on boards and things like that, I don't think that that's the right approach. I think women have a seat at the table. However, you need to be the best in your field to have a seat at these tables.
Well, yeah.
And you should.
It'd be good. Rolling you into an operating room, and you see, and they haven't started the operation, you're looking around, why haven't they started? Well, the female anesthetist isn't here yet. Well, could we just start anyway? Oh, no, we can't have, we're not
too many males in here,
on
sorry.
the operating team here. Yeah, try that.
Yeah, I don't
it's
think
about how
work,
bad
though.
it's getting in medicine too.
Yeah. Well, we are going to solve the world's problems another day. Tomorrow, we are going to avoid talking about politics and bring you a great Thanksgiving special. We all need a break, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But we will be back tomorrow, so
Gonna
check
wish
us
you
out.
Happy Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving Day as well. See you then. Happy cooking.
Yes, catch us on YouTube, Vimeo.